I left for vacation with some things that I didn't bring back. Pressure to prove, expectations I never agreed to, and the weight of what people think I should be. And honestly, I don't miss it. I don't miss a single one. Some baggage belongs to the last season, not the next one. And if it didn't make the trip home, it wasn't meant to be. Let's talk about what I didn't bring back. Lo and Behold is a podcast where we are empowering worship leaders and creatives to lead with biblical wisdom, practical skill, and vibrant spiritual life. I'm glad you're here. Let's get started. All right, so my family and I, we took a sort of a vacation. We were actually there for my sister-in-law's wedding, which was beautiful, by the way. It was gorgeous. But we took a vacation to Hawaii a couple of weeks ago, and it was amazing. So if you've never been, save up your money because you will need money, and and go. It was an incredible experience. I don't regret it. I don't change it for the world. On the way there, I remember just packing so much stuff. And you've probably been there as well. You're getting ready to go on a trip. You're getting ready to go somewhere. Maybe you've been there before, maybe you haven't. But you are just stuffing clothes in the bag. And I get to a point, the way that I pack is I pack for the number of days and 2 extra for everything. So always wear clean drawers, just in case you got to go to the hospital, something my grandma used to say. So I need a pair of underwear for every day and 2 extra. I need a pair of bottoms every day and 2 extra. I need a shirt every day and 2 extra. And it just got to be basically just extra. And a lot of the stuff that I took, I didn't actually wear at all during the entire trip. And I'm sure I am not the only one who does this. There was a lot of stuff that I had in my bag that never saw the light of day, never came out, never needed it, forgot it was there until I got home. And it was thinking through that as I was packing to come back home that I realized that I packed out of habit and not out of purpose. See, I was packing because that's the way that I was used to packing things. I just needed to, like most of us, take our whole house. I am one of those people. I got to take the whole house. If I'm going to go somewhere, if it's 3-4 days, whatever, I got to take the whole house in order to be able to feel comfortable there. I like to have options. I don't like to just be there and say, well, I got to wear this because this is what I packed only for this day. No. I got to have options. So I packed out of habit instead of out of purpose. But I found myself not only carrying things through the airport, onto the plane, checking the bag, carrying it to the Airbnb, getting back on the plane, coming back home, carrying all that luggage, all of those bags. I found myself carrying things that I didn't need. But that's not the only thing that I was carrying. I realized as I was in Hawaii, as I was looking at the sunset and enjoying my time, both just in the water and with God, I realized that there were a lot of other things that I was dragging along the way. There was a lot of other stuff that was packed in my bag that we don't always talk about. I don't always talk about the pressure to prove. Yeah, the pressure to be something that people may want me to be instead of what God called me to be. Maybe it's the pressure to perform, the pressure to produce. It was roles and titles that I never gave myself. God never gave me, but people gave me. It was perfectionism, the desire to always do things perfect the first time in order for it to be worth your time. It was all of those things that I realized that I was carrying around that held just as much, if not more, weight of all of the things that I packed in those bags that I didn't need, that nobody addressed, that nobody stopped and said, hold on, Lawrence, this ain't good. This ain't right. But the interesting thing about the whole story is that while being in Hawaii, I realized that that was the perfect place to leave a lot of that, to just let go of a lot of that. Let go of the pressure to prove. Let go of the pressure to perform. Let go of perfectionism. Let go of roles and titles and names that are not mine. You know, I prayed a prayer a few years ago. I was just telling people this the other day. And before you pray this, watch out. Don't pray this until you're ready. Just listen to what I'm saying. Do not pray this until you are ready. It's like one of those things, like when you ask God for patience. They always say, don't pray for patience, because God will give you patience. Don't pray for patience until you're ready for it. And do not pray that God removes your titles, that he gets rid of your names until you're ready. A few years ago, I asked God that. I asked God, remove the titles, not just the bad ones, because that was easy, honestly. I'm just being honest. It was very easy for me to just let bad names that people called me. I mean, everybody, I'm sure, get called bad names since you were a child. So it was easy for me to just, the bad names that people called me, to just forget about it. I have lost no sleep from people who don't like me or people who call me something that I'm not. But it's the names that I accept. It's the positive names, which comes along with expectations that I accept and then I try to live up to. And I found myself surrounded by plans and ideas and ideologies and habits that were in attempt to be what people called me instead of what God called me. And I realized while in Hawaii, I realized that I was doing the exact same thing again. But this time there were different names, right? I had left a whole set of names before, but this time it was different. It was pressure on myself. It was a commitment or a vow that I made to myself that meant absolutely nothing in the grand scheme of things. But I decided to let that be my standard. I decided to let my ambition, and my way, my will, my plan be the gold standard. Those are some of the things that I left in Hawaii. Now, the thing is, a lot of the stuff that I left at some point, it wasn't bad for me. No. It wasn't all evil for me. My ambitious tendencies or my tendency to be ambitious, that wasn't bad. In fact, that has served me very well in parts of my life. Or my pride in being independent served me very well in my life. There was a whole season of my life, years of my life, where I had to grow up, where I had to be the man that my mother raised me to be, where I just had to do it. I just had to get it done. And I didn't have a lot of people to help with that. There was a lot of things that I left that really served me well in periods of my life. But maybe like you, I realized that what I was carrying, what I was continuing to carry, was survival gear. Some of what I brought into past seasons and even this season of my life was the same gear I needed to survive the last season. I needed to understand, and I hope that you would too, that in this season, you no longer need to survive when you are being led. My sheep know my voice, and a stranger they will not follow. Psalm 23, he leadeth me beside still waters. I don't need to survive when I am being led by God. Does that make sense? What we all need to do is let go of the things that served us well in past seasons. Let go of the things that served us abundantly in past seasons, that stroked our ego, that made us feel valued and accepted among men and other people around our family, among ourselves. We need to let go of our pride and our ambitions and our know-it-all ways. Yeah, because we live in an era where you just can't tell us nothing. I mean, let's just be honest about it. You can't tell us nothing. You can't give us sound advice, because advice starts to sound like criticism, and then criticism really messes with what we want to do. So we feel like, I don't want nobody telling me what to do. I don't want nobody in my business. So please don't give me sound advice that would lead me not unto destruction, because I'd rather be destroyed by my own hand than to be saved by yours. I'm going to let that sit. What are the stuff that you are continuing to hold on to that served you well in past seasons that no longer serve you today? I believe that it's time to just let it go. And listen, I feel like I need to say this. Dragging old weight, using old gear, and being proud of that old gear that served you well in the past season is not noble. It is not cute. It's an example of just bad stewardship, misled stewardship. If you are holding on to something that no longer serves you, but is weighing you down, we tend to celebrate that in our culture, but it's not cute. And I wish that we would celebrate and encourage and normalize letting go of stuff that no longer serves you. That's not me who said it. You know what? Erykah Badu said it best. Bag lady, you go hurt your back. Dragging all that stuff like that. You have to let it go. You have to let it go. Things that no longer serve you in this season or the next, you have to let it go. And here's one thing that I've learned, and this is for free. This ain't even in the notes, but this is for free. Here's one thing that I've learned. God will not allow you to use what he gave you the last season in this season. If that was the case, you wouldn't need God every season. If God gave me in the last season what I needed in order to run the race right now, in order to finish out this season strong, then I wouldn't need God, would I? No. God gives you what you need as you go. He gives you what you need on the journey. But you've got to learn that in order to accept something from God, in order to get something from God, you got to do it with an open hand, which means what's in there's got to go. If you want God to put something else in your hand, you've got to open it. We tend to ask God, give me. And God is like, I'm trying. I'm trying, but you got to let go of what it is that you are holding on to. And the simple fact is we take the attributes that we get. We take that ambition and that pride and we take our success stories. We take our trophies and we use that as our identity. And so it becomes us. We become it. And our life becomes about what it is that we have accomplished besides what God is trying to do in our life. And I want us to be able to change that. Dragging old weight is not noble. It is misaligned stewardship. See, when I started to name what I packed without purpose, I had to realize how much mental and spiritual clutter was clouding my clarity. You wonder why you can't focus. You wonder why you are to and fro. You wonder why you everywhere all at the same time and you ain't God. Because what you are carrying, that old weight, it's clouding your clarity. So travel light and you'll think more clearly. Heavy bags create foggy minds. When you carry around so much emotional baggage, what that does is it weighs on your discernment. It weighs on your ability to see things differently. Here's a true story. I know two people. I ain't gonna name no names, but I know two people. These two people were at odds. I'm gonna call one Susan, and I'm gonna call the other Trisha. Susan and Trisha were at odds, and Susan and Trisha were very close at some point. Yeah, they were very close at some point. They had a big falling out, and 10 years went by. True story. 10 years went by, and Susan and Trisha had never said a word to each other. They never spoken a word. All of a sudden, Susan gets diagnosed with cancer. Yeah, Susan gets diagnosed with cancer. Susan reaches out to Trisha, and Trisha does not even want to answer the phone. And I say to Trisha, Trisha, what if Susan has had a change of heart? And Trisha just lit me a new one. She said, how in the world after all of this time can Susan have a change of heart? I said, because Susan has been diagnosed with cancer. I would like to think if you are diagnosed with cancer, you tend to think differently and you tend to start apologizing, even in cases where you don't need no apology. You shouldn't be apologizing. It ain't even your fault. You ain't did nothing wrong, but you are apologizing because you realize that there's a need to mend relationships. Emotional baggage. Trisha could not see out of the pain, out of the hurt, out of the argument that happened 10 years prior. She could not give Susan the ability and the space to have a change of heart. Trisha's heart couldn't be changed because of emotional baggage. Trisha's discernment was all the way off. And that's how it is really even in our spiritual lives. Listen, you cannot discern new instructions, new environments, new state of minds with old emotional baggage. Drowning in old weight leaves you drowning in old weight. It does not leave you moving to new heights. It does not push you forward. It does not push you in a way that God wants you to. You are not living in your purpose. You can't be fulfilled because you are drowning in old weight. You refuse to let things go. You refuse to hand over the reins to your own emotional state. And let's be honest about it. When you do hand over the reins to your emotional state, it's to the podcast. It's to the TV. It's to the entertainment. It's to the infotainment. We got so many people who are so inundated with cable news that they don't even know what's really going on with their neighbor. They can't even minister to the neighbor, let alone themselves, because of the emotional baggage. Think clear. You remove that baggage and then you can think more clear. It's important to travel light, especially with stuff you don't need, and not carry around things that just don't matter anymore, that just won't serve you well in this season. That emotional baggage is ruining your ability to discern right now. That emotional baggage is ruining your ability to hear new instructions from God. Matter of fact, let me not talk about you like that, okay? Because maybe I don't know what's going on. The emotional baggage was ruining my ability to hear God more clearly, to be able to listen and seek and get new instruction. God is always speaking. Can you hear him? Can you hear him? Your emotional baggage acts as that clutter. I do a lot of studio work, and I've been in the studio before. And in the studio, I remember the first time I ever been in the studio, they had these things all over the wall. It was like these black foam things. And finally, I asked, because I'm not knowing, I just sing. I don't know what all this is. Finally, I asked, why y'all got all this stuff on the wall? And they said, well, Lawrence, those are acoustic pads. I said, well, why you got them? He said, what it does is it traps sound. So the sound that hits the wall doesn't bounce back and hit you. It traps sound. So when you send sound that way, it traps it. It doesn't come back to you. That's what your emotional baggage is like. It is an acoustic foam. It just traps sound. So God is trying to talk to you, and your emotional baggage is soaking it all in. And so now you're wondering, why in the world can't I hear from God? Why am I not getting any fresh manna? Why am I not getting any new instructions? It's because your emotional baggage acts just like that foam did up on that wall in that studio. No word can get through because you are holding on to things that no longer serve you. Let it go. Think clearly. So in Hawaii, they do a lot to protect their environment. They do a lot to protect their natural ecosystems. And I actually like that. I can respect that, right? So basically what I'm saying is, from wherever you're coming from, now I want you bringing all your germs, all that junk. And don't be trying to take nothing up out of there telling them I want to keep it for safekeeping, but you ruining their ecosystem. They ain't got time for that. Lo and Behold is a podcast where we are empowering worship leaders and creatives to lead with biblical wisdom, practical skill, and vibrant spiritual life. I'm glad you're here. Let's get started. All right. So listen, in a way to just have full transparency and disclosure here, I had some technical difficulties while I was recording this episode, and I don't really know what that was about. But my camera was overheating, and then I went to record or re-record this part of the episode, and my sound just kept going out, and then it was staticky, and then turns out there was a cord that was dying, and so I replaced that, and then it would not, the microphone that I had was just not jiggy with the microphone that I have now or with my setup, and so I got that. So it's been It's been a while, but I do this because I believe that this is some valuable content to you. I certainly hope that it is valuable to you. And so, yeah, if you like it, comment, share it, like it, subscribe to the channel. And I think that you'll be able to get some really, really good information and valuable lessons from this channel. All right, I want to move on. I think I was at the customs. Yes. Okay. So perfect. I know where I was. So anyways, so we went to Hawaii and it was great. And then leaving Hawaii, I thought was very interesting. We went to go check our bags, but we had to first stop by this agriculture checker. I don't know what the official name of it is. Anyway, we had to go through there to put all of our bags through. Before we could get them checked, they had to go through this scanner, and it scans for agricultural products. I guess, you know, people in Hawaii, obviously Hawaii is a very touristy state. They want to just make sure that y'all not out there stealing from them. Y'all not out there trying to take what they got, you know, I don't know, maybe a coral reef or something. They trying to make sure you ain't packing that in your bag for safekeeping. And the thing about it was, I was asking some questions about this, like, why is this so important? And they had mentioned it's not just important for them in Hawaii. It's not just important for them to maintain the integrity of their bio environment, but it is important that you not take things out of the state or off of the islands back to your home state because it could be invasive. Some things get confiscated because it's not just hazardous to take them from the place that they were, but it could be hazardous. It could be destructive to the place that you are going. I'm so glad that God does baggage checks, because the things that I was able to leave behind, while it helped me in one season, it would have destroyed me in another. It would have ruined the plan. It wouldn't have been suitable for the environment that I was going to. And so them in Hawaii, they're just checking bags. They don't realize that they're preaching a message to me. But I realize that is exactly how our faith walk should go. Our emotional journey should go. We've got to be prepared to leave behind what is no longer serving us. And the thing is, I'm sure nobody has ever filled a suitcase full of rocks or marine life or anything of that sort, you know, plant seeds. I'm very sure that nobody ever filled an entire duffel bag like I had. But it's not about the huge suitcase full of this stuff that you can't take off the islands. It's about those little things. No, it's about the things that you just stuff in your back pocket. It's those things that you just stuff in that little pocket at the side of your book bag where you're trying to carry stuff. And you're like, oh, I can squeeze one more little thing. Maybe you'll forget about it when you get to your destination anyway. But it's those little things that we try to carry along. So they're checking bags. And I realized that what may have served me in peace in one location will disqualify that same piece in another location. Those things were beautiful to look at there. If you've never been to the state, I'm not trying to talk it up. I don't work for the tourism board. They're also not sponsoring the show. But listen, if you want to, you know how to contact me. I know you know how to contact me because I was just up over there with y'all. So you know how to contact me. So it was good to be surrounded by so much diversity in BioLife, things that I've just never seen before. But I also realized that disturbs the same ecosystems, the same bio environments that I am headed to. It's the same thing with your anxiety or your depression or your overthinking, your low self-esteem or your low self-worth. It works the same way. We like to take just a little bit of that, just a little bit of anxiousness, because this may be useful at some point in the future. And then that little bit of anxiousness that you brought back with you just grows and grows and grows. Why? Because you water it and you feed it. Let's be honest about it. You water it and you feed it. I never do it like that again. Yeah, right. Yeah, right. Let's just be honest with ourselves and with everybody else and just admit what's happening, right? And that is what's happening. But this is also things where we pack in small quantities our desire to control. Oh, yeah. No, some of us have that. We have a desire to always be in control. And so we can't let God lead because he don't lead right. Let's be honest about it. We can't let God do his thing because he'll be acting quick enough. And then he always doing stuff without giving us the full rundown details. I need to know. And so sometimes that's why I'd be like, Lord, we need to have a meeting because apparently there's information that I need to know that I don't know. We like being able to lead ourselves. We like that idea of autonomy and that idea of freedom. And so we hold on to a little bit of control, not self-control. Not self-control, because we'll overindulge in a minute, but we hold on to that little bit of control, hoping that may serve us well in the future. We hold on to a little bit of shame. Yeah. A misapplied loyalty. Oh, I have been there. Trust me when I tell you, I have been there. I have been loyal to people and places and organizations and committees and groups and you name it. I have been loyal when it was clear past my time to move on. But out of loyalty, or out of the fear of being seen as disloyal, I stayed a lot longer than I needed to. I put up with a lot longer than I was asked to in order to not be disloyal. I believe that God is just saying, let it go. Let it go. Let it go. Be loyal to God. Be loyal to your relationship with him. Be loyal to what he called you to do. But don't be loyal to the places that he's calling you, because God can change that at any moment. Yes. No, God can give you a word. Abraham, go. What you mean? What you mean? Lot, I got to break up with you because your people all are here. Y'all expanding and y'all got stuff and I got stuff because I'm trying to grow my little stuff, up over here. And you got to go. What you mean? Sometimes God is calling you to just move on, and you cannot do that if you have misapplied loyalty. So it's things like that I believe that we take just a little small amount, and God is doing a baggage check. He said, no. This is something that you got to get rid of. This is something that you got to hand off. This is something that you got to hand over. And in order for your future, in order for you to continue to build in your relationship with Christ and perform in your purpose, then you've got to be able to let it go. Okay. Now, this is the part where I'm supposed to tell you that I don't miss it, because that's what we're supposed to say. We're supposed to say, I got rid of it and I really don't miss it. I don't miss it. I do. Yep. No, I do. And if you're honest with yourself, you do too. Because it's hard for you to live with a habit or a personality trait, as we call them. It's hard for you to do that for so long throughout your life. And then all of a sudden, when you get rid of it, you don't miss it. How hard is it to do things differently when you're so used to just doing them the same way? That happened to me on the way to work the other day. I didn't know that they shut down the road, at least my turn. They've been working on the road for a very long time now. It seemed like forever, but it's only closed after my turn. So I've been going that same way to work as I had. No problem. No issue. Little traffic. No issue. But this one day they had closed down my turn. I had no idea which way to go. I'm like, Lord, I don't know these back streets, these back roads, and I ain't going anyway. Y'all will get that later. But I said, I need to be somewhere around some civilizations, and I need some cameras to pick up my car moving, because you just never know what happens. And so I'm like, I don't know how to get to work now. So I had to figure something out up on the spot. And then the GPS was taking me in a different route, but that road was closed. The GPS didn't realize it was closed. That road was closed. So then I had to figure out. And so finally, after a 20-minute detour going west, when I really needed to go east, I was finally able to go east and get to work 20 minutes late. I mean, even that is how we operate. Even taking the same route to work or to church or to a family member's house, one detour can just really throw us off of our game. So if it does that with just driving to work, the habit of driving into work the same way, do you not think that you giving up your desire to control, you giving up your anxiousness, you giving up your depression, you giving up your expectations or your desire to perform? Do you think giving up the weight or the load that is on you, or the pressure that is on you to perform, is gonna just go away because you say go away? That's not how it happens. There is a process that you go through. There's a process of continuing to do things different, a process of continuing to let it go. And when it sneaks back up, when you realize that you've taken just a little bit and you put it in that side pocket of your book bag or your backpack, as y'all call it, then you can be able to step back and say, hold on, this too, I need to get rid of. This too. What is that song they used to sing? Lord, I'm running, trying to make 199 and a half. Y'all not only give, let me not say y'all, let me say us. We not only give God 99 and a half, but when we give God our problems, not just our lives, so when we give God our issues, and when we give God our desires and our will, and the things that just are not conducive to and not in line with his will, we like to give 99 and a half, but we like to say that 0.5%, sometimes maybe it's 0.7, sometimes maybe it's just 1%, because I like whole numbers. And we find ourselves struggling with that 1% because we have not given it over, because we really, truly have not abandoned that. We have not let that go. It's hard. It's hard. And honestly, I think of it sometimes as a death. Yeah, it's like when you have come to know, when that has been a part of your identity for so long, to get rid of it is almost like getting rid of a piece of you. Yeah, it's like shedding a piece of your own skin or your own fur, and you miss it. You miss it. I was able to leave performance. I was able to leave overextension there on the vacation. I was able to leave the yes man mentality, not in that I just agree with whatever my leader says, but more so it was always a yes. Yes, I can do it. Yes, I'll be there. Yes, I got 1,000 things going on, but I don't want to let you down. I don't want to disappoint you. So yes. I was able to leave that there. It's like a death. It's like, oh, am I really still me? But Jerry Flowers said it best when he said, growth requires a eulogy. In order to grow, something has to die. Growth requires a eulogy. In order to grow, something has to die. You've got to kill that desire to perform. You've got to kill the pressure to perform or overextend yourself. You've got to kill your own ambition and your pride that's wrapped up in whatever it is that you do. I can do this better than anybody else. Maybe you can, but you've got to learn how to kill that. Humble yourself before God. Don't listen to me if you don't want to. Listen to Kendrick Lamar. He says, sit down. Be humble. That gets you further. That gets you a long way. But being humble takes killing off those things like pride, killing off those things like ambition. I keep saying that because there's so much in that. There's so much in pride. There's so much in ambition. And I am learning even now that my pride was too high, and not just with things that I thought, right, were just minuscule. Right. I thought, who cares if I think, I'm a hustler? Who cares? People celebrate the fact that you a hustler. You walk in and say, oh yeah, I know how to make money. I can hustle. And I'm from Detroit. Okay. Detroit is all about that hustle culture. We gonna make $1. And so walking around with that on my shoulder, walking around with that as a patch on my chest, that I was proud of that. But how can you be proud of being a hustler and providing for yourself, yet then count on God and say, he's my Jehovah Jireh? Yeah, that really hit me like a brick too, because I was preaching and I was singing Jehovah Jireh, he'll provide for me. And then I would go out and say, I'm a hustler. So is God really providing for you or not? I mean, if you got it, then you don't need it. So don't be offended. But do you really believe in God to provide for your needs, or do you believe in your ability to provide for your own needs? Do you believe in your own ambition more than you believe in provision from God? I had to get rid of that. I had to write a eulogy to that and say no more. No, that seemed very small to me. In fact, it seems small and good because people celebrate that. And I realized that was holding me back in my relationship with God and thereby myself. Because then when I put it on me, right, solely on me to figure it out, whenever it wasn't figured out, I then blame me. I then punished me. I then chastised me. I then talked me down in order to justify or in order to punish myself for not getting the results that I said that I was going to get, that I imagined, that I talked myself up in the first place in order to be able to get. Letting go of those requires a eulogy. You have to kill off what is holding you back in order to be able to see growth. I'm really glad that I was able to leave that behind. And that leads me to the last point. You have the freedom not to carry. It's not just about the things that I left, although that's good. That's great, right? That's what this whole episode has been about, the things that I left behind. But it's about the fact that now I am free to not carry that anymore. I am free to not hold on to it. And I don't feel guilty for no longer holding on to it. I don't feel like my identity is any less. I don't feel any less of a man or less of a person because I was able to leave that stuff behind. I have the freedom to not carry. Why? Because Jesus already did. There's no need for Jesus going to the cross for me and my sins and my decision to follow him, yet then hold myself accountable for results that only he can do and provide anyway. I really like what Hebrews 12:1 says. Therefore, since we are surrounded by a great crowd of witnesses, let us throw off every weight, every single weight, every single thing that holds you back, everything that makes you think that you are unworthy of the next, of the future, everything that makes you pumped up and prideful, everything that makes you depressed and makes you oppressed. Throw off every weight. Who are the witnesses? If you read before that, the author talks about the many witnesses who had experienced God's power in some way, shape, or form, and was able to experience and see God move in ways that God was just doing his thing. He was just blowing everybody's mind. The author is saying, we heard about that. We read about that. They stand as a witness to what God is getting ready to do in your life. God is getting ready to do in our now for our future. Listen, I want to encourage you that leaving it behind is not weakness. It is wisdom. And I pray that you see that. I pray that you experience that. Leaving it behind is not weakness, but it is wisdom. It is choosing not to carry it anymore, choosing not to give in to that anymore. Why? Because there's better. There's better. And this is keeping you from better. I'm not saying that it's not good. In fact, I don't become satisfied with good. Words can't describe God, but if I was to describe him, it just wouldn't be good. It would be great. I always expect God to be leading me to better. This ain't it. If this was it, you would have killed me. If this was it, you would have called me to glory. There has to be better. There has to be greater. Glory to glory. New heights, deeper levels in him and in his word. That's what I'm looking for. So this is good. And I tell the enemy, I'm not settling here. Now, I'm not settling with the good praises of man. I'm not settling with the good accolades and even the feeling of good. I'm not settling there. There has to be more. Because if my whole life was about experiencing this good moment or doing this good act, the moment I'm done, you would have fell over and died. But the fact that you are still alive and still breathing says that there is more, that there is greater. And I want to encourage you, you have the freedom, thanks to the life, the death, and the resurrection of Jesus Christ, to no longer carry what you have carried. Whatever that is, your ambition, your pride, your pressure to prove and to perform, whatever that is, you're stuck in your ability to hustle, to come up with a way, to make a way, as we say. All of that stuff, you are free to give up, to give away, to let go. You are free to not carry. And speaking of free, next week is July 4th. Next Friday is July 4th, and I'm excited. We're going to be talking about what it looks like when you are free to not carry. We're going to be talking about and unpacking and declaring freedom and what that looks like, what that feels like. And I promise you, freedom looks real good on you. I'll see you next week.